Dude, I'm exhausted.
That's because you choose to do karate. So
It kind of, the topic that we're going to talk about today, it kind of helps me with it.
it does, actually.
And yeah, so
First off, let's just talk about our new studio.
okay, I didn't want to point out the obvious just yet.
I think we're getting somewhere. We'll have a black wall here soon.
Yeah, sorry guys for the green screen.
We had some technical difficulties getting our new setup with the audio and the camera, but now we're rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
This whole thing's been like an act of God.
It really has. No, it has. The fact that we were looking for a studio and one just kind of fell in our lap was legit. And the fact that we already signed another podcast. So if you haven't listened to the Fittish Dad podcast, go hit it up. Caleb actually already has almost 100 views on his first episode.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I was watching his first one just to see what it was, and it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, no, he's very enlightening and has a way with his words. Yeah, and it's pretty sweet that we finally filled our application today to be monetized. And I know you've been on this journey with me for about 1.5 years now.
It's funny where we're at, because when we first started, this is not to this extent, but we started with mics, started recording ourselves, and then we said, screw it. We was in a bedroom. Bedroom got taken over by baby.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were in a garage, constantly having to set everything up every time we recorded.
It was not fun.
No, it was not fun. And now we're at the spot to where we have the setup and we can just come in and record.
Oh, it's going to be so legit. And as episodes go on, you're going to see this place kind of just transform.
Little by little. We're hoping to get some paint in the room by hopefully this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, I got some sound pads over there laying on the wall. So after we paint, we'll get that put up and start sounding like a real legit studio. We have a couch in here. My daughter is actually our sound person today, and videographer.
Go Kinsey.
So go Kinsey.
Don't mess this up.
But yeah, I'm pumped. We've come a long way, especially since I started fantasy football entertainment 4 years ago almost, in a bedroom with a $50 mics. Our camera was set up on like the corner of the wall, a phone set up on a box.
I remember that.
And it was like overseeing us because I couldn't figure out how to get good video. We've come a very long way.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, I'm pumped about it. So it's definitely a blessing, like you said. It's a God thing for being able to land this studio and actually have other podcasters in line to join Thrive Media. I actually started our own Instagram today, so if you haven't followed us, follow us at Thrive Media Productions on Instagram, and you'll start seeing all of our podcasters on there. And we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get started into our segment today. Kind of let me know what we're going to be talking about today. Let them know so we can jump right into it.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about professional development, kind of like personal and professional, but how we can better ourselves every day. I know we've dove into it in the past, but we've never truly had like a full episode on it. So I kind of want to just talk about some areas in my life that I've realized I had to grow up in order to move forward and make that step. And one of them was actually starting a podcast. So I'll kind of start with that to hit off the episode. But really, it's just pointing out things in your life that you know you need to grow in if you want to move forward and be successful, or not even successful. I hate that word, but even just have some sort of self-development or a win in my book, like self-love kind of. So that's what I wanted to dive in today. And the first thing is I kind of hinted towards is the podcast. The whole reason I started a podcast was I hated hearing my voice, hated talking in front of people, hated being in front of a camera, for instance. And now here I am, 4 years strong, speaking in front of 100,000 people or subscribers.
Yeah.
Hearing my own voice, doing shorts and posting on Instagram every day. And I would have never thought that. So that was my first step towards development on my own end. I don't know how, that's the exact moment I realized it, obviously, other than becoming a father and all of that. But that was one step I took in my life that I knew was going to get me out of my comfort zone. Do you have a moment like that you can think of that was kind of like a huge step for you to, even if it's a stupid podcast, but it's still a way, I went out of my own way to kind of develop that area?
I think as far as like my personal development, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. What I came from with the jiu-jitsu, actually starting into that, it's very humbling knowing that I can constantly learn. It doesn't matter how old the person is.
Yeah.
First day I got taken out by a 17-year-old. He'd been doing it for a long time, took me out.
Is that the one that hurt your shoulder?
No, that's not the one that hurt my shoulder. That was David.
Typical David.
Yeah. But no, so getting into jiu-jitsu, part of my personal growth, being able to make sure that I can learn from everything, but knowing we're at different stages. So I want to kind of go back to you and let you talk a little bit more about your personal growth. At my age, at 24, you were still in baseball. Mm-hmm. You've had different personal growth, different things that you've done growing up. What is the two different personal growths that you saw at 24 versus now at 29?
Oh man. At 24, my personal growth was I had to learn how to,
I guess let me word that question a little bit different, because it's a little hard question. Because when you look at personal growth, you look at being able to set goals for yourself. Mm-hmm. You look at for always learning and making sure that you're being able to have your personal growth. So when you're changing the aspect of you trying to learn, what is the different stages that you learned versus 24 versus now? It's 5 years later. Now that you're a dad, you're having to take these battles on kind of one hit at a time.
Yeah.
What is the differences of growth that you've had to, what's the biggest leap?
So at 24, I wasn't much in the learning stage in my life. That was the more of the grind stage, or not proving myself, but no matter what job I had where I was working at, I wanted to be the best. It didn't matter if I was cleaning trash up, clearing bins, digging ditches, running wire, checking HVAC units. Like, I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to prove to myself that no matter what position I was in, I was going to give it 100%. And that's how I grew up. And as I started progressing through that stage in life where it was more of a grind stage, put your head down, go to work, doors will open. As I progressed in leadership, then that's when I had to start like carving on myself, figuring out, hey, what parts of leadership do I like? What parts do I not like about myself? Where can I grow? Where can I stretch myself? So then it's kind of like you take this self-reflection, kind of like years when I was like 27, I started leading more people older than me, younger than me. And there was things about my leadership that I didn't like. So I really had to work on where now I'm getting to the point where I've chiseled out the stuff that I didn't like. And now I'm back kind of like into that self-reflection mode. Like, what else can I do? How can I get to the next step, next level? Where am I at in my growth? Am I moving forward? Am I complacent? And so I feel like it's like every season you grind, self-reflect, grind, self-reflect. And it's like you get these small wins, and then eventually you become the person you want to be.
Yeah. Because I guess I want to diving into that. One of the biggest hurdles that I'm having to look into right now with me getting married is not being selfish.
Yeah.
As far as, when you have a girlfriend and you're going, you want to be with her, you still put her on a pedestal, but at the end of the day, it's you, right? You can be selfish. And I think when you're single, it's important to be selfish, to make sure that you can have your hurdles and take your steps that you need to take, and making sure that you can eventually be the person that you need to be. Well, now I'm at that point to where I need to settle back. I need to step back and say, hey, I can't be selfish. I have this other person that I not only depend on, but she depends on me.
Yeah.
For communication, for being there when she needs me, always staying in contact. And as far as personal growth for me with Kaylee, that's probably been one of the biggest, one of the hardest things I've done.
Yeah.
Because what do I always tell you when you ask me, oh man, when are you having a kid? I always say one thing every time someone says,
you're too selfish to have a kid.
I'm too selfish to have a kid. That's the thing that I say every single time. And getting into this new chapter that I'm starting, I need to be able to say, hey, I can't be selfish for me anymore. Mm-hmm. I have to take a step back and be selfish for us, for me and Kaylee. And so that's something I work on, where she looks at me and tells me, she's like, Zane, calm down. It's not just you. she tells me that you wouldn't believe probably more than what she probably should.
Yeah, you're not fighting your own battles anymore.
I'm not fighting my own battles. Hey, it's not just you.
Yep.
And when you transferred into that, because that's something that you've already kind of done. First, it was you. You were selfish. You were going into baseball, trying to make it on that side. Your selfishness was your time, making sure that you were practicing, making sure that you were ready to go to compete on the field. Yeah. So when you transitioned from you doing that to saying, hey, not only do I have Cambria, but also have Kensington that came into my life, they have to be put first. What were the 3 biggest switches that you had to try to do to make sure that your growth was good and that y'all's relationship ended well? It's for that personal growth.
Oh man, that's a hard answer. Hard question. First thing would be, I remember, it's funny, I haven't talked about this in a long time with anyone really. I remember on my flight home from California, basically I just had a call. I got on the phone with my dad, called him and said, hey, I'm coming home. I think I just played my last game. And he immediately said, what girl did you meet? Because he always told me, you're either going to meet a girl or get hurt. That's what most athletes, that's why they hang it up. And I was like, well, her name's Cambria. They've met a little bit, not a lot. And he knew the situation. Kenzie was 6. He goes, well, just know when you come home, if you are serious, that's going to take a lot for you to make that work. Like, you're 24, you never even had a
kid.
You're about to have a 6-year-old if you get married, like whatnot. He kind of knew about that situation, so it wasn't too involved with that. But I remember I had that conversation with him as I was on my way home. I was just thinking to myself, I had no idea what I was going to do. And that's when I started thinking that maybe I should keep playing baseball. In the back of my head, I was like, yeah, it's probably the smartest thing to do. It's the only thing I know how to do. And I remember having the thoughts like, no, it's selfish. Like, if I truly love this girl or want to make this happen, then I have to put this down first. And that was like kind of the first step, was of realizing that being an athlete, you think about yourself 24/7. Like, that's all you think about, nothing else. And it was the first time I really had to put someone other than the Lord. I put someone before baseball for the first time in my life. And there was times where I probably didn't put the Lord first. Like, baseball is an idol. Like, it's a true thing. Like, sports is an idol, unless you take control of it. But it was the first time in my life where I could truly say that even my parents, like, I put one person before baseball or 2. And that was probably the first step of growth, is realizing, like, if I wanted this to happen, I had to for the first time ever, put something before the game. And I remember that moment, like, to this day. Like, I could, like, put myself back in those shoes, sitting on the plane, glove in my hand, like, on my lap, because all real ball players never put their glove in a bag. To this day, my gloves have never been in a bag. But I remember, to this day, like, literally thinking, like, if I want this to happen, baseball has to be second or third or fourth, whatever,
Reflecting back on that, dear, because you're human, you made mistakes within that aspect of it.
Yeah.
What mistakes did you kind of see yourself kind of folding into, self-reflecting on yourself, back and saying, hey,
after that moment?
Yeah, after that moment.
Realizing that I wasn't truly over baseball.
Yeah.
There was a lot of angry moments where I'd, like, have baseball on TV and I would just shut it off. And there was moments where sometimes I would be in the field, because I went straight to HVAC. Like, I landed, worked in the warehouse for about 2 weeks, and went straight to HVAC. Like, that was my plan. And I remember being in the field. There was days where I text Cambria and be like, what am I doing here? Like, I should be on a baseball field instead of I'm in an attic working on HVAC equipment in 170-degree weather. Like, but there was moments, and that was what's good about having somebody in your life. Like, she understood where I came from. She never made me feel bad about it. She understood that what I was going through. And there'd be nights where I just completely lost it. Like, broke down. Like, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, I'm not good at this. I'm only good at throwing a ball. I never truly dove into anything. People told me all the time, you need something else. And I just always thought that was a cop-out. Like, I don't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Like it was make it to the league or nothing. Like that was my life. So I immediately started regretting all the moments where I didn't learn other things. Like all the moments people try to teach me, or when I worked at in the field in high school and as a technician or an install, I just did it as grunt work. I didn't actually take it in and learn. And that was my first regret, is I wish I would have taken in those moments and even just had them in my back pocket. Like even if I never used it, I wish I would have learned that. So that's probably my biggest mistake was before all of that. I don't think it's a mistake. I'll never regret it. I think if you have a dream, you chase it. And once it falls apart, then you figure it out. But I do remember having those. That was the hardest part about it. It was in the back of my head. I always felt like I gave up on myself. And it wasn't out of a selfish thing. I just felt like I let myself quit too soon. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Like it ate me up for about 2 years until I finally just let it go.
Until you met me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the toughest things that any person that plays sports, or with anyone that has a passion for something, doesn't have to be sports.
Yeah, music artists deal with the same thing. They make no money until they make it.
Letting that go can be a big loss, and that's where you have to look into yourself and have that personal growth. In my opinion, I could be totally wrong.
No, you have to self-reflect and dig, because it's deep in there for sure. What are some things that you've learned kind of in the same transition, but from 19 years old to now about to be married? Like, what did you have to grow into just even get to the point where you were serious enough to propose? What are some things you had to work on?
For me, it was more money. As far as like the money thing goes.
Yeah.
I was always chasing it. You know, it's this cliche saying, but it's true. You run and you don't enjoy you don't enjoy the actual run.
Yeah.
You get to the destination and then you always want for more. For mine, looking at when I graduated and went on to do what I was doing, I was constantly just trying to get into it, trying to find something else. And when I took a step back, and I think that's what Kaylee made me do. So the story about me and Kaylee and how it kind of worked, I was single for a little while, and me and my cousin were at a dinner table, and this will all kind of make sense. I'll bring it together at the end.
Yeah.
I just had a feeling. We were just sitting there talking, and I told her, I said, the next girl that I date, I'm going to marry. And she was like, you're so full of crap. No, you're not. And I said, I promise you, the next girl that I date, I will not ask her to be my girlfriend unless I'm committed to marrying her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I won't date her. And she was like, you're crazy. And I said, no, I have this feeling that's what's going to happen. Literally a week later, that's when me and Kaylee start talking.
That's wild.
And so we sat there and we just started talking, and it was Lexus's friend. She was like, Zayne, I'm not so sure that y'all two are going to mesh really well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go meet her, just go hang out with her. And then at that point, when I met Kaylee, it was like it slowed down. We grew up differently to where I don't want this to come off like bad or anything like that. The financials were different when Kaylee was young. Her parents are doing great now.
Yeah.
But she had such humbleness that really brought her down to earth, where she's not someone that needs anything crazy. Yeah. She's happy with just me. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I found, because in past relationships, they wanted gifts. They wanted this. They wanted that. Kaylee's just, no, Zayne, I want you.
Just time.
I just want you. Yeah. I don't need anything like that. And so when I met her, it kind of brought me down to where I was like, dang, yeah, I need to make sure that I can provide for my family, but let me enjoy these moments as I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
And money comes and money goes. It's part of it. So that was the biggest growth that I've had since then, is not being, obviously you need to make sure to work for it, but not being straight money hungry, to where that was all I saw. And that was all I cared about.
No, I agree. I 100% agree with that. I actually had a conversation today with a guy. I said, money doesn't buy happiness. It just buys opportunities. That's all it does. Opportunities to take your family vacation, opportunities to create a life for your family, opportunities to invest. But it shouldn't be your happiness, and it shouldn't be your why.
And Kaylee was the one that really she settled me down as far as just saying, hey, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happens. We'll be here together. And to where now I can take a step back. No matter what happens, she's always like, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Where, your mind constantly races. And it kind of goes back to the same thing that you said with Cambria. She calmed you down. She understood. With me, it's the same thing. So I think God put women in this world for men that constantly drive. We're drive hungry. We're super driven.
Yeah,
we always have to be doing something.
Yeah.
Your mind's going at 1 a.m. and where you can't go to sleep. And where the women, not saying that they can't be driven, but they're more, hey, it's okay. They give you the calmness that you need.
Yeah.
And so Kaylee helped me excel my personal growth from what it was.
No, I agree with that. I mean, you're only as good as the women in your corner.
Yeah. And you always say it all the time. You told us, you're like, I have no idea how two of the most hard-headed people ever got together in their life. Because Kaylee, I'm a Taurus. I'm a bull. I'll go straight at it, and she'll come right at me
the same way.
in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And where she'll be like, hey, no, you need to stop this. Let's take a break.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing with me and Cam. People say it all the time, like she's ruthless to me and whatever. I'm like, well, our personalities are the same, so we never offend each other really. Like we both have like the same sense of humor, and that's like our way of flirting. Like it's not like we never like cut each other down, but it's more of like a playful banter. And people are always like, man, y'all are ruthless. Right? No, it's just that's how we love each other. But
yeah.
God also knew he had to put someone in our lives like that too, so we wouldn't constantly hurt their feelings every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I'm cussing her out or anything, but like we'll just say jokes or hey, or don't fall down while you're walking. I know you trip everywhere you go and stuff like that. Like, so, yeah, man, it's funny how you end up with somebody who, that's how you know that's how you definitely know, for one, we both had praying parents and praying grandparents, praying for someone in our life that is meant to be, and it's not just a season. And that kind of piggybacks back to like my final thing about the professional growth. And it's really something that I've focused on a lot at the age I'm at now, kind of like the past year, is really just changing the environment I'm in. Not that I was ever in bad environments, but I wasn't in environments that were growing me or being around the type of people who were pushing me. And so I kind of had to step out of my comfort zone and meet other people, dive into things I never really knew about, just to learn more about it and see how it could have helped me in my life. And that's probably like my biggest growth here from the past year is I'm in a stage where I'm learning, and constantly in prayer, seeking the Lord, asking him, put people in my life that I need. I mean, I'm back in my home church. Like none of this is coincidence. Like the fact that all of this has come together, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We have this studio, and I think that's why, as I stepped back and I stopped choosing my people in my life, and the Lord started putting people in my life. In the past, I would choose who I want in my life, and we're not always right.
Yeah. No.
The Lord knows who we need to know and who we don't need to know, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that totally makes sense with what it goes with. Your friendships that you have aren't going to last forever. And for me, they haven't. I feel like over the years, I've gotten less and less friends.
Yeah.
Throughout it. And just because I don't necessarily talk to those people near as often, it's not necessarily that I want bad for them or I don't want them to succeed or do anything.
No, not
like
at
that.
all.
It's at the point to where that season of friendship has ended. Mm-hmm. Now, to an extent, right? You need to make sure that you water the friendship. The other person needs to water the friendship as well. It can't be single-sided. And
I do think there's people in your life that God puts in there, though, where you do have to be the water the whole time. but it's not in a way where they're dragging you down, but it's in a way where they need you. They need someone like you in their life to where they're eventually watering somebody else. Like, you're going to be a mentor to people in your life. Like, if you are someone in leadership or someone who has spiritual wisdom and seeks God, like, God's going to put people in your life that you have to coach up or mentor.
Yeah. I don't ever think it's one-sided, though, in my opinion.
Really?
As far as someone that is teaching the mentor, the mentor teaching the person how to do it. I think there's always small bits and points to where the mentor looks at the person that they're watching. They're like, huh, I've never thought that way.
I believe that you learn something by teaching someone.
Yeah.
You reflect based off what they're saying. Yeah, I get that.
And with your actions. Yeah. And so I think there's, whether the person wants to see it or not, they're both getting watered.
Yeah.
You're learning from, every person's different.
Yeah.
And so you're learning from that person's perspective of growing up, what they've been through. So you're always learning. So as long as both of it makes sense and y'all work with each other, and it's not always about knowledge. Is the person nice?
Yeah.
Can you go talk to the person? Can the mentor come to the person that they're mentoring and come talk to them?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. When you put it in that perspective, I 100% agree. I do think that you're going to learn something from everybody. If you don't, then there's a pride issue.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, it's like that. I got beat up today by a guy that was like 45 or something. He'd been in jiu-jitsu for like 12 years and just totally killed me.
Yeah.
And I got up and I said, dude, I hate you. Because he just had me in a knee lock, leg lock, freaking everything in the book. And I was just tapping. And the coach came up to me afterwards and he heard me say that. He said, hey, you want to know how he can't get you as well anymore? I said, what? Like, curious? He said, don't suck anymore. Practice. And I just started laughing. I was like, screw you. But
that's hilarious.
No, but even with him, he told me, he said, hey, when he got me, he was like, hey, I moved him to a position. He said, I've never had anyone do that to me. He still learned.
Yeah.
And he had me do it to him again. And then he reversed it. So he still learned from, even though he's kicking my butt the whole time, I put him in a position that he's never been in and we worked through it.
No, it's 100%. You learn from your mistakes, or you learn from the decisions you made, and you learn how to grow out of it, get yourself out of the hole and better yourself. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's all I got today's episode. It's just really those 3 points. And just know, if you are out there and you're listening and you feel like you are in a rut, like, go back, get some quiet time. Whether you're going to read the word or anything like that, you need to make sure that you self-reflect, see where you need to grow. And if you don't know, ask someone. It doesn't hurt to ask someone you work for, report to, your friends with, like, hey, where are areas where you think I could develop myself? Whether spiritually, professionally, personally, like, ask someone who's in your corner and they're going to be honest with you.
Yeah. And I think also, if you're in a rut, try helping someone.
Yeah.
Go help someone that you think needs help, or ask for your help. Hey, do you need help with something? This is something in your work life. If you're struggling with anything, go ask them, hey, do you need help with anything?
Yeah.
And that's going to get you going again.
No, I agree. The last thing I got is I got to shout out Jonathan Cook. He donated us on our sponsorship for the shout out level. So thank you, Jonathan, for supporting the show. Here's your shout out. Go give him some love. Like always, thank you for tuning in to the Thrive Coaching Podcast, brought to you by Thrive Media Productions. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later.